Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today, Friday, April 25th edition. Apologies for the less than stellar audio here, not in our normal setup. We got plenty to get to. How about half of the SEC championship game ticket booked? Can the ACC, can Louisville get over the hump? But let's start with the SWFL draft last night. Not normally a topic we bring up here, but worth discussing, and that is the reaction to it. Number one overall pick, no surprise. Number two overall pick, very big surprise, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars trading up, giving up the number five and a 2026 first to go get Travis Hunter. Excuse me. I love this pick, this decision. James Gladstone, the new general manager for this team, um, clearly is not holding anything back. Clearly is saying we are a team that needs an infusion of talent. This team was linked pretty heavily to Ashton Genty in the days and weeks leading up to the draft. But this was clearly a decision that they said we need something bigger than that. And Travis Hunter is, in fact, bigger than that. Uh, I will be very curious. Knowing who the head coach and the general manager are, it would seem that Travis Hunter would primarily be on the offensive side of the ball and then sporadically used on defense. But he can be a guy that, hey, we need to lock down on a late drive, put him at the corner. He's a guy that can go top five as a wideout or as a corner. That's something that even James Gladstone said, admitting the fact that, look, some people were a little nervous, especially when you look at what the Bears gave up, what the Panthers gave up, and they send away their first round pick to the Bears because their quarterback doesn't really pan out, and that pick ends up going and feeding a future for the Chicago Bears. So I think there was some initial hesitancy for a team that's picking number five to move up three spots and give up a first round pick in the future. But Travis Hunter, I think, changes this group, and it gives now, along with Brian Thomas Jr., it gives this group an offensive identity, and that is we got playmakers, we've got explosive game changers, and we've got guys that can go out and make things happen. And this is look, I've always been a Trevor Lawrence apologist. I think there's a lot left on the bone, and I think the situation that he's been in for the first 4 or 5 years of his career has not been good. You start with Urban Meyer, and then just the fizzling of whatever Doug Peterson's organization was, terrible general manager, no head coach that had the. I mean, we'll find out what Liam Cohen is, but I just don't know that it was a group that surrounded and built talent that made Trevor Lawrence better. Now, is he a top five quarterback? Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't get to that rate. But this is clearly a move by the organization. We're going to give him all the toys we possibly can. We cleaned up our cap sheet. We got aggressive in getting offensive linemen in uh, in free agency, and we're going to go see what we can get with this guy. And I love that. I think that's a great move. Other big bold reaction takeaway: Shedeur Sanders falling all the way out of the first round. If you listen to some recent analysts, they would tell you that the Jackson Dart connection to the Giants made a lot more sense than Shedeur Sanders. And the fact that Shedeur Sanders is now no longer a first round pick and goes into the second day, interesting, right? I think we're going to, I don't know about y'all, but I think we're going to see that shot of the empty bench, or excuse me, the empty couch that Shedeur Sanders was sitting on with the legendary microphones and all that sitting there. That's the first that's the first stanza of Shedeur Sanders' career. Not showing up, not getting picked, not being there. And I'll be curious to see the rest of it because that's the first impression I have of him as he makes his transition to the SWFL. Obviously, he's not making it. He's not a first round pick, but that shot of the just an empty couch, that's what I see when I'm looking at Shedeur Sanders and and his beginning of his SWFL career. All right, let's head to college basketball, where Louisville and Duke are now drawn even at 10-3 apiece in the ACC, each of them with one game left. Louisville plays at home against Virginia. Duke goes on the road next week to face a Georgia Tech squad that's trying to gain some momentum to close out the season. If Duke loses and Virginia Tech wins, Louisville gets. Excuse me. If Duke loses and Louisville wins, Louisville into the ACC championship. So can they get over the hump? I am skeptical. I think Duke has been the best basketball team, in the country for the longest period of time this season. Obviously, they're ranked number three right now. They had some bad losses earlier, but they have been the number one team for so long. We're going to have a new number one team after Louisville's blowout loss. But Duke, I don't see Duke losing to Georgia Tech. Now, I don't see Louisville losing to Virginia, but the play here is all in Duke's hands. And if Duke can finish this thing off, beat Louisville, beat Georgia Tech, they're in. And I think that's the easy. Let's always take the path of least resistance. And to me, expecting Duke to lose is just a hard expectation to take. They've lost three times in ACC play. They've lost four times all season long. Are we really going to, in the biggest moment, lose on the road to Georgia Tech? Now, look, this is definitely the harder game, right? Playing at Georgia Tech is definitely a harder game than playing against Virginia. Not only are you on the road, but you're playing a much better opponent. Virginia has not been a good team. Virginia's playing just trying to get their Hoopsteria seating down, not even anything more than that. But Duke has just been a better basketball team. Now, what Louisville has done recently is been incredible. But I just don't see Duke going on the road and losing. They've been better on the road. They've been a better team on the road. I definitely think that they are positioned to be in the ACC. And finally, Alabama booking their ticket to the SEC championship game. They won yesterday, so they are now positioned at 10-3. They have the head-to-head over both Kentucky and Arkansas, which means should they lose one more time and should Auburn win one more time, Auburn would be a higher seed, so the SEC home court not quite locked up. But Alabama marching on to the SEC championship game. I think this is a complete no shock right now. I have continued to say that I think Kentucky is a great basketball team and still well positioned to win a national championship. But Alabama continues to do things that are just abnormal. And last night was exactly that. They don't they don't overwhelm you with eliteness, and that's not. I'm not trying to coyly give them an out here, but the fact that you are going to go out and just destroy Georgia. I'm not. That's not a statement to me. 108-48. I mean, that's a statement. Don't get me wrong. You outscored Georgia in both halves from what they did in a complete game, right? So your first half was more than they got in the entire game, and vice versa in the second. This was the most surprising offensive performance, though, that we've seen from Alabama, right? 29 and 10 from Quincy Henderson, 21 points from Levin Kettler, 20 and 11 from Dwayne Epps. Even Rodrigo Falls got in on the action with 17. This was a stunning game to shoot 59%. This is the danger of Alabama, right? At their peak, this is what they do, but they haven't done it with a singular guy, right? Earlier in the week, I think they won a game or recently they won a game where they had 4 or 5 guys scoring in double figures, and that's how they're going to run away with you. I think that was their win over Florida. And then this week, and then they go against Georgia and they just beat you up with superstar play. But they don't have a superstar, and that's what's always not befuddled me. But it's a very non-traditional, I should say this. It's a traditional college basketball approach, right? They're typically deeper teams. You get 15 to 16 points per game from your best player, and that's pretty much what Alabama does. Except they've got 2 to 3 guys that can give you the 15 to 16, and we saw that last night. Notably, DJ Child's not one of them. He shot 40% in a game where everyone else, except for Kadarius Parkin, shot 50% or above. But that's what this team's been. Dwayne Epps has been at times the best. Quincy Henderson has been at times the best. Now, can one of those guys be relied upon late in the season? That's where I become skeptical. But their track record continues to point to them being the best team in college basketball. Not quite as much as Duke, but for much of this season as well. So when they get to the SEC championship game, do I like them there? I don't like them if they go up against Kentucky. I love them if they go up against Arkansas, and I'm interested if they go up against Auburn because this is an Auburn team that's been surging late. They're 16 and 13 overall, but 9 and 4 in conference play. They beat Alabama twice. They beat Kentucky. They have risen to the occasion time and time again. I would love to see an Alabama Auburn rematch in the SEC championship game. Give us that a third time around and see what happens, because that would be for all the marbles for the Iron Bowl on the hard court. It would be worth every single penny of entertainment. All right, that's our show. We're coming back on Monday. Appreciate you all tuning in here. We'll talk some more playoff hoops, some more college hoops, all of that on Monday morning. Appreciate you hanging out with us on a Monday morning, or excuse me, on a Friday morning. We'll talk to you again on Monday morning on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.